না সমিতা সমিতা শুরু করবো We'll start. Okay, great. Namaskar. Good evening. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. It feels good to be back on this stage. It's a wonderful feeling. I have been on this stage a few times on various occasions when I was an employee of Jadavpur University and beyond. First, let me just clear it up. What I'm going to talk about is not something the alumni will do. They will have a role, I'll explain that. This is purely an endeavor, initiative of the university, of the institute, of the academic institute. That's how it's done. Well, that's one way it is done. There can be a counterpoint always. And the entire content that I'm going to talk about is what the university needs to do and how it needs to do that. That how part I am going to lay it out in good detail, the way I have practiced it. It's not any philosophy, it's absolutely hands-on sort of a pathway. Sorry about that. So this is I call it a structure because this is fairly well defined, and it requires a professional approach. It requires, I'll use probably a word that you may not like. It requires a corporate-like governance, because this is not academics. Alumni engagement is a professional endeavor. This is not about teaching, this is not about research. So I'm afraid faculty members can have an advisory role, they cannot have an executive role in this. And that's how it works across the world in this country. All success stories have identical approach. So I'm going to share it with you a little bit and in my own humble way. Hopefully it is useful. If the university wants me to continue to help, I have no other interest than helping the university. So as you heard, I think Amitavo was very gracious in saying a lot of kind words about me, but not all of them are as true. But I'm a 7681 Jadavpur mechanical. I think there are a large number of mechanical alumni over here today, and justifiably so, because we are celebrating Professor Gopal memory. It is, this is the right way of doing it. Talking about Professor Sen, I used to look back from my office for a short time, the names of previous vice. The momentum, what are the metrics? Now, what do you need to do now? What do you need to do tomorrow, next? What do you need to do day after tomorrow, later? Okay. So we have this approach is basically a few nice English words, building bridges between the alumni and the university's future. The word future is important. We are going to build a university which is much stronger. I think Jadavpur scoring 4th rank in NIRF in the university category, it's just a little achievement for Jadavpur. Jadavpur has huge potential. It should be far out, much more than that. And that's what is hurting us. We've got to go beyond nostalgia. We've got to go beyond the song and dance, the fun and frolic, the reunions and the donations. We've got to go well beyond that. We have to cultivate how to create a collaborative community. This is what we are talking about. And that will be achieved if we are able to build a modern ecosystem. Alumni association cannot do that. It's not going to be able to do that. We need full-time professionals to do that. You can't do it as a passion. Alumni association does wonderful things, considering that it's all voluntary. I'm here because of the alumni association. Wonderful opportunity. But we need to do very different things. Alumni association will continue to do this, but this is the university's job. This is serious business, I'm afraid. It's not something that you do it in a weekend and go home. No. So I I am putting those alphabets, and as a matter of fact, I'll end the slide with an acronym for the association. So alumni relations or alumni relations, Jadavpur University. Let's talk about the foundation and the governance and the resources required. So why do we need an alumni relation? That's the question that typically comes to our mind. Now, most of the modern contemporary progressive universities which are trying to do well, Jadavpur gets about, in my time when I was working here, it was 165 crores if I remember correctly, but I'm happy to note that it's about 300 plus now. That is Amitav share. That's a salary grant that you get from the state university. There are universities which are not so blessed. They don't get a penny from anywhere. They have to clear their entire amount. They don't get. So I worked in a university for nearly 7 years, till very recently, till last year, and so it doesn't get a penny from the founder's family. It doesn't get a penny from the founder's industry group, which are very large, very wealthy, and all that. Everything it does is generated by the university. So it's a big challenge. It's one model, of course. So, I think Jadavpur University can do things in a very interesting manner if we organize it well. I know there are amazing difficulties on ground that anything you want to do will not be allowed to do. But in spite of that, in small pockets, if we can create some disruption in terms of conventional way of working. So most of these universities, they do a strategic planning exercise. What is it? It tries to figure out where are we today as an organization. 3 things. Where are you today? Let's figure it out. Where do you want to be a certain amount of time later? How do you get there? Now, how do you get there is not easy. So that's called strategic planning. So normally what happens, top international management consultancy firms, they take a, amazing amount of money to get going on such planning exercises. But what we typically see that they choose some functions of the university. So here, what is something from my experience. So it's just an example. Jadavpur doesn't have to do that. It's a faculty. This is not about alumni or alumni relations. It's about the university operation. Faculty. These are the verticals where the planning exercise is usually done. Faculty is one. Research is another one. Academics, pedagogy, academics, curriculum, and things like that. Industry engagement is very important, and lo and behold, alumni is usually the 5th vertical. So that shows that university does many things, many important things, but alumni should be one of the 5. We don't have a 6th, we don't have a 7th. So within the 5, it's a very tight number of choices. Alumni occupies one slot. That shows that it is important in the minds of planners, and so these sort of exercises, I'm not going to talk about this is a different topic altogether. They try to find out what are the differentiators for this university. Jadavpur has very interesting differentiators which probably nobody else in this country has. So we should work on that. And this, whatever you do, this strategic planning, it should have a large-scale alignment across the organization. Otherwise, there is no ownership. If you do something which is not owned by every layer of the university, it won't work. You will just have a nice document and it will remain there. Of course, the financial feasibility and how do you organize that is very important. So I call it, alumni relations or alumni as a vertical of the university's core functions is as critical as anything else, is as important as research, is according to most of the things, because it will feed those other 4 verticals if you do it well. The alumni vertical, if you do it well, it will actually feed those 4 other very important verticals of the university. So I call it nostalgia to network. In Bengali we used to have Anushar Salanka. So here is an Anushar on N, so nostalgia to network, and then another Anushar on R, reimagine, reinvigorate, and reconnect. All right, enough of English. So all we are trying to say is that we want to create the entire alumni body as the engaged alumni. They are not going to be somebody who is very cold out there, has no connect with the university. We are going to churn them up enough and make all of them, as many as possible. You may not get all of them, but Carnot efficiency kind of stuff will happen, and we'll have engaged alumni. So why do you need engaged alumni? I mean, in my experience, these are the few things that, so money is going to come first. I could have put it later, but doesn't matter. All of them are important. So engaged alumni, they are more likely to contribute to the university in financial terms, because universities need transformational capital. You shouldn't ask for money for mundane little things. You shouldn't. As a matter of fact, alumni don't like that. That's my experience. You should ask for money to do things which are going to be transformational for the university. Major, disruptive, massive efforts. So we'll talk a little more on this later. Alumni, engaged alumni, they act as influencers. Today it's very important. Image building, brand ambassadors, they actually enhance university reputation. Amitabh talked about NIRF. Reputation is one score, which makes a difference for our ranking. They provide amazing level of networking opportunities, because you are going to create that community for your students who are on campus today and fellow alumni. As I said, we always assume that the alumni relations is only for bringing money for the university. That's not wrong, but that's partly true. So as I mentioned, it's for jobs, it's for mentorship and professional collaborations. The kind of network they create will help you get international research grants, domestic research grants, not unethically, for the right reason. People just don't know that the connections will do certain things. They offer their experience and expertise and skill sets to support the university's strategic goals. Do we have a strategic goal? First of all, I would like to see that if Jadavpur University has a clearly laid out strategic goal in research, in education, in teaching and curriculum and all that. In governance, it's very important. In governance, do you have a strategic goal? The engaged alumni, the top eminent engaged alumni should be part of the governing body. Now you're going to say immediately, we don't have a handle on that. We don't decide those. Fine, but this is how you do it. Well. So you need to set targets and how to leverage alumni. These 5 things that I'm talking about: branding, reputation, funding, mentorship, placements, innovation, incubation. I'll talk about innovation, incubation, alumni embedded, and teaching and research, the common one. So I mentioned this already. It's alumni support toward the university. That's intuitive. That's usual thinking. What is not so intuitive, I wouldn't say counterintuitive, but it's not always thought about, is that less obvious, I say. What can the university do for the alumni? That's a new angle, new way of looking at this facility. So let's start with endowment and learning. Some of the very interesting, these are my first-hand experience, and let me share some of them. So this we all know. Alumni endowment is huge in the United States. Europe is not so big the way United States does it. There's a lot of learning from there. High schools, not even community colleges, not universities. High schools get billions of dollars from their alumni. Imagine this. That's how it's organized. So high schools will have a massive team of alumni relations because it produces results. So they typically have AR office, I'll call it AR from now on, which is also called development office, institutional development office. Very large teams, again, completely full of professionals, and there is a clear university commitment. The university leadership backs this entire thing with publicly as well as with its might, with its resources and support. So as I talked about, there has to be a strategic plan, and it has to be operated in a professional manner. The outreach is going to be deep. Today, many Indian universities suffer from this. It's not very good, not just Jadavpur, many of them. When I joined BITS Pilani in 2016, I found that there is no system. An Excel sheet is what they call database. So I was really quite annoyed that you have stellar alumni out there and you are not leveraging on that. 1 crore per year was the total fundraising. Numbers changed orders of magnitude by the time I left. You can do, there are amazing people. Jadavpur will have more in this, alumni in academia across the world, including this country, undergraduate, postgraduate, program twining, internationalization, and so on. In research, Grant Connects, I talked about it, and mentoring and the network. So philanthropy in India is actually evolving. I'll share some data on this. It is evolving in a very beautiful way. I would say in the last 5 or stretch a little more, maybe 10 years, it has changed dramatically. If you look at the numbers about 7-8 years back and today, most of the institutes are dramatically different. I wouldn't say Jadavpur has been able to do that, but then so few. I don't know if you can read this. Okay, so this is supposed to be a highlight. This projector and this laptop is not able to read this. Let me just remove that. Supposed to be a highlight which works on my laptop. Not for highlight. So the next slide will be a big project. Okay. News clippings. Last few months goes all the way to about last 7-8 months. So Infosys co-founder Nandan Nilekani donates 315 crore. One person, one institute, one alumnus. 315 crore to alma mater IIT Bombay. As a matter of fact, Nandan donated 85 crore before this, different occasions. This one was last year. So together he made a nice round 400 crore. So you see the scale of support. We are talking about very different numbers. IIT Madras in FY22, financial year 21-22, this has gone up. I couldn't find the number. In FY23 it has gone up. In FY24, which is about to end, it definitely is much higher. So they raised 131 crore from alumni and of course some CSR as well. So let me see. So philanthropy, as I said, in India is evolving. Amongst the institutes, I find the IITs and the IIMs are more proactive. I'm only talking about alumni relations, nothing else. Don't mix it up with other functions of the academic institute. Okay, so the highlight doesn't work. I have to remove all of them. All right. Sorry about that. So this is just you don't have to read all of them. In a first, IIT Bombay gets massive donation of 160 crore. This is in addition to Nandan Nilekani. Another IIT Bombay. IIT Bombay has gone into astronomical levels. But you want to go into how IIT Bombay did it. I am not going to share it, but some of the things you won't even support. There is nothing unethical, but you wouldn't agree with those measures. So they had a foreigner who was employed full time and with a salary which was about 5 times the salary of the director, roughly. That sort of thing. But then the amount of money they invested, about 10 times, 20 times came back from these numbers. Ashoka University, a very new university, gets 250 crore from this couple, Harish and Veena. BITS Pilani announces largest alumni donation in its history. Smaller compared to the IIT Bombay, much smaller. They started early. The IIT started early. BITS Pilani started organizing it from 2017, I would say. So these news reports are saying that India is rising when it comes to alumni or alumni relations, in organizing this, etc. So a lot of people, you hear the word giving back, alumni giving back to the alma mater. A lot of people do not like that term The term today, it's more culturally more acceptable is giving forward, paying forward, paying forward. So paying forward is a term which is used for alumni donating to alma mater. So I met a lady, this is very interesting, in the US during one of the alumni meets, and in the US basically. So this lady is an alumna lady of Bispinang. So she was surprised that we were in US raising, trying to meet alumni and doing it across the country in various cities and all that. She said, nobody ever approached me. She's quite wealthy. She said, I have donated a large sum of money to my son's college in USA. He lives in USA. I said, the son has graduated? I mean, he's an alumnus now? She said, no, he's still studying. So look at this. The Indian Institute hasn't been able to reach her, otherwise she would have donated. She has donated to her son's college in the US, where he's studying currently, and the donation was made. So I'm talking about deep outreach. So if you don't reach the right people, so you need to know two things. You need to do two things. You need to find out who are the right people. There's some, I don't know, Yadavpur's total alumni strength is, no, has to be, no, I'm not talking about how many people have graduated. More than 1 lakh? Easily. Right. So okay, the point is made. Let's say for hypothetically, let's assume that it's 1 lakh. So you can't communicate with 1 lakh people. It's very difficult. You need to figure out who are the right people for me. How do you do that? No manual process, you can never achieve that. So first, identification of the target individuals. Second, reach out. So these two things have to be done, and we are going to tell you a little bit about, so Indian universities are missing out. That's an example because of our very, very poor outreach and very, very poor database, very unsmart way of working. We do naming rights policy for university assets. I'm sure Amitabh will jump out and say that we can't do that. This is state government's property. I know. So I am telling you a generic way of doing this. There are certain things you will not be allowed to do. That's fine. You can't do anything which is not, you're not allowed to do. So fundraising campaign is very important. What is the ask? Why are you asking for money? That's very, very important. It cannot be something insignificant. It has to be big. It has to be ambitiously large. You may not get it, but that's the way to go about it, because the people out there, they are watching you. They want you to do that. Otherwise, they are not impressed. Otherwise, they are not attracted to you. So annual alumni meets are routine, but what do we do during the meet? I'm sorry, it is going to be much, much beyond the fun and frolic. It's going to be much beyond the food. Those are necessary. But the essential core, it has to be somewhere else. We're going to do various reunions, celebration of dinner. You talked about 25th year, right? So you're going to do silver, ruby, golden, platinum, and apparently there are many more words today. For every 10 years you have an English word now. So what is the team? Usually you are going to have a CEO. It works like a company. This AR cell, it's going to be led by a CEO, and executives are full-time professionals, and they will have a PLVP structure. This is how it works in other places, successfully organized. What is PLVP? Performance linked variable pay. So if the CEO doesn't reach certain target, the salary at the end of the year will be some amount, and if they reach the target, so it's performance linked variable pay. There is a base pay, and then there's a performance link. So that's all defined. What happens then, the performance gets nearly guaranteed. I'm afraid we, like academics, we won't be able to do that. You've got to recruit managers under the CEO. This is the final shape. You can't start with all of them. Start small, one of them maybe. So you're going to have managers for each of these verticals, sub-verticals. Development, strategy and relations is one manager. Program management, another one. Fundraising, donor and corporate engagement, one manager. Operations and IT, very important, another one. communications, branding, another one. So you need this. We're talking about a very different way of doing things. You've got to have an advisory board. It's very important. Somebody has to oversee what you are doing. Some people who are very eminent. So couple of very eminent alumni who are not connected with Jadavpur University. That's a very important connection from USA or Europe or any other country overseas. Why? Because they can connect. So you're going to rope in a couple of very important people. They feel important because the university has selected them as the advisory board members. So they will give something back, not money, but their network. So all those. So one of them will be the chair of the advisory board, couple of JU professors, of course, people with marquee following by students and alumni. They will be nice to have in this team. You've got to have one Dean AR from one of the leading old IITs or IIMs, because they will bring in that value. They have done that job in their institute. This is how we did it. I'm just sharing my experience and it worked. In my structure, this is something I have added, not because I know him. The Vice Chancellor should not be in the advisory board. Vice Chancellor is still the highest leadership in the institute. Pro VC could be the convener of this and a member of the advisory board. So whatever the AR office, whatever the university initiatives that you are going to design, it has to be in sync with the university leadership. Otherwise it won't work. So AR office is doing something which the Vice Chancellor and his or her team is not in sync with, that won't work. So we need to do that. As I said, I say it with humility, but this is the root fact that we've got to go well beyond the fun and frolic. It has to be a corporate-like operation. The donating money, giving, paying forward, it has to be a very simple, easy, smooth process. It works with how you do this. Today everything is digitally managed. So we need to design all that, and then the fund that comes in has to be connected to the development plans. So what are the leadership roles? I'm giving an example. Doesn't mean that this is exactly. So the Vice Chancellor's role. This is something we tried practicing. Usually it's similar. So the Vice Chancellor does strategic direction, overall strategic direction for the AR and fundraising. Vice Chancellor is because when you are tapping somebody who is going to donate, let's say 10 crore or 25 crore or 100 crore, big mega amounts, they expect the highest leadership of the university to connect with them, not anybody else. So that you have to ensure. So Vice Chancellor does the mega donor connect and mega donation closures. I have done these, the big ones, I shared from my experience, one-to-one. Nobody else was in the room during those meetings. When it started and when it ended, over maybe 6 months. So these are success stories that obviously that takes different shapes in different institutes. The Vice Chancellor will be the university spokesperson as the leadership inside the university as well as outside for this. And will be the champion for alumni-funded programs, the initiatives that you are going to do, the development initiatives that you are going to do within the university with the fundraise. So what does the Pro VC do? I put the Pro VC as a name because that's a position here. So single point of contact for AR, the Pro VC, persuasion and closing for fundraising, trusted voice, holding a position. You see, the CEO is not a trusted voice for the alumni, right? Because not a university official in some sense. Particularly for Jadavpur, usually these positions, well, as it has happened mostly, Jadavpur leadership is usually they are all alumni, right? Usually, always. They truly represent the university. The Pro VC will be the link for academic ventures and support, and of course the emotion and nostalgia link, because if the Pro VC is alumni. The CEO of the AR cell will do the fundraising, will do the CSR. The CSR is going to be part of this body. CSR is going to be big. As a matter of fact, let me mention it here. I don't know whether I've said it anywhere else. For the IITs, at least the old 5 IITs, the CSR amount actually is slightly higher than for every year. Almost 50-50, but slightly higher than as much as the alumni raised money. Operations, the CEO is completely in charge of. So the Pro VC is not an executive, definitely not. Advisory, obviously VC is advisory, but the CEO is the executive. And the operations from prospecting to reporting. Reporting is very important. You take the money and then you keep quiet, you can't do that. Talk about that more. The proposals, the new initiatives and the programs, of course there will be a team under the CEO and all that that's mentioned here. There will be a student air sale, very important. There is always in every institute, and they are very successful. These are current students, not alumni. So the structure of this, and each of the heads of student air sale will have each of these functions, and these are very important. So this sale, student sale, because they have fresh thinking, they are young, and they will feed into the CEO's team. They work. This is very well dovetailed. Okay, so the next one, this is the heart of the system, map. How do you map the entire alumni ecosystem? So this is a digital system that is going to make a huge difference. And we are talking about analytics, we are talking about tracking, we are talking about communication. So I call it tech forward, technology intervene. So alumni management system, it's a bare necessity today for any university, any institute. So some of these, let me not read all of these. Smart profiling. You identify attributes and list of names with their connects will come out. And you'll see how deep these, how granular these attributes could be. And you do segmentation, you do a whole lot of segmentation. You do persona definition. You do persona definition of alumni. You do individual verifications and you do strategic filtering. So you need, this is a massive system. I don't think the university should even think about trying to create this on its own. This sort of tool is created by companies, by 100 people over 10 years of work, a very different level of sophistication and details. So you should outsource this. You should subscribe to one and they will do a whole lot of your work, but there is a budget needed for this. I've been talking to, so we used Alma Connect. I'm not hiding that. Alma Connect is one such tool. There are many good ones. So don't think that I'm promoting one particular one. So the engagement grows dramatically. We started, okay, this is something to do with the laptop. There was a number till this morning. This is the number who are registered. Okay, so the CAGR is compounded annual growth rate is about over 52%. That's very sharp growth. This happened because till this time there was no Alma Connect for this. This is Bispilani data. Try not to copy this, try not to post this. I'm sharing this exclusively for your benefit, no other purpose. But this is a factual data. So today it stands at 70,000 and in no time. But you see, these numbers are just growth in numbers, but the outcome, the benefits that come out of a larger body of alumni who are engaged. This is engaged alumni. You know everything about them. It's not just a name and email ID. No, I'm afraid that's not what we call engaged. It's a whole lot more. So the system does two things. It's alumni to alumni community. University is not even involved in that. This system allows or permits the alumni to do that, and then alumni to university. That is that the fact that I mentioned this before, that university does something from the alumni. So this community creation, it helps the alumni in their various activities, mentorship, learning, connections, all that. So you see, when you go into, this is a screenshot actually, when you go into student benefits, when you go into alumni, and when you get all that stuff, institution benefits and community engagements. So smart profiling, I'm hurrying it up a little bit now. So I don't know if you are able to read. I'm sure you are not able to read. The member type, all member, you can have what type of member. All locations is a huge list. You can search the location. You can locate a particular, and you see the numbers. Hyderabad has at least some time back, and then you choose the country, you choose the campus. In the case of British Pilani, there are multiple campuses. They won't have that. Graduation year, minimum experience, and lot more. So what you see, I've blocked the names and the photographs deliberately. So you see these, and then all the details, initial details. If you click, you get more details. At least the corporate engagement or whatever affiliation they have, and then you can connect with them, the LinkedIn links and all that. So entire world opens for you. If you are trying to reach one particular individual or many of them, you can do it in a very professional manner with clear benefits. So those are the granular attributes, and that you do smart profiling. So you do alumni segmentation. You have 1 lakh. Ultimately, if you do it a very fine segmentation, you may end up with 50 names for something you want to do. What is it that you want to do, of course, will dictate. So you may come down to from 1 lakh to 50 names, as small as that or maybe even less. So again, those there's some of the other ones you can see here. So you can do what sort of education, what is the company sector of the person, what's the company size. You do so much of granulation, company type, functional area of that particular person serving, sub-functional area. So you can do really deep granulation. Designation type, profile title, standardized title, skill, mentorship, and there are few more below. So what I'm trying to say is you can really do fine segmentation, because you are targeting very intelligently only a handful of people, because you don't want to communicate just like that. Okay, I have communicated with 1 lakh persons. My job is done. That may not yield anything. So you want to do a very impactful communication. So yeah, I just made a bigger size. Now I think you can read slightly easier. Those some of the attributes by which you can do strategic filtering, and then you can create analytics for it. Quite often, it's not just about fundraising, it's not just about mentoring. Quite often you want to mention to whatever, maybe the country, or that I have these positions, I have so many CEOs, I have so many CXOs, and so on. Quite often you need to do that. All those will come out just like that in 5 minutes. So you want to discover your alumni pre-curated list. So what is a pre-curated list? This is the tool, the ecosystem will do it for you already. You don't have to do any segmentation yourself. So for example, I don't know if you are able to read. You want to look at everybody who are in teaching and training professions. You want to find a list of everyone who are in business management professions. Once you get that, then you can do finer segmentation, location, designation, and companies and all that. You want to do everybody who is doing in front-end engineering professionals, or you want to do everybody who is in account management professionals, technical managers, data analysis, business intelligence professionals. It's a huge list. These are all pre-curated. The tool has already created that, and you want to. Persona segmentation is something which today most of the ARCell folks do. So you want to separate them out in terms of age, because how you interact with them, engage with them, approach them depends on. So the way you are going to approach a 55 plus group is going to be very different from the millennials, right? So that's also important. So you have all these segmentations done. It's understood. So you also want to track alumni's career progress, because this is important. You want to track them when they are changing their jobs, when they are switching careers. You will think, why should I be doing that? University has no business in that. Well, university has business in that. As I said, this is nothing to do with teaching and research or your administration. It is a completely different world. So, because it has been proven beyond reasonable doubt that this tracking translates to donor prospects, and you want to identify who are my prospective donors, not the entire list. That could be a very small number. So, alumni career progress tracking. So some statistics, if you look at on the right, in the dark one, on an average it has been found that this is a global number including India, about 10 to 25% of the alumni, they change jobs annually. Reasonable number. Out of that 10 to 25%, 10% they are in C-level or senior executive job changes. You are trying to target them. They are the senior executives. Out of this, even a smaller number is another 25%. Out of this 10% of the 10 to 25%, they are major gift prospects. So ultimately, you want to find a list for yourself, which is what you want to work with intensely. The CEO will provide this list to the Pro VC and the VC. Sir, this is the job, this is the donation prospect list. Now you tell me what to do. That's much better than working with a very large number. So you want to stay updated, you want to do a precision search, and of course all this data is secure, and standard privacy policies are ensured, and so on. So this sort of community, a lot of people say that this becomes, this sort of ecosystem, this tool, it almost behaves like it's university's own LinkedIn. It's a, it's a comparison, because it does have those functions. You can have a geographical map of the alumni. So I did a search on Newtown, and I found a pretty, I found a pretty big number. So you can do help on mentoring. So not just Bispir, I'm doing a screenshot of the Pan IIT, what they do. So a lot of, on the system, the alumni they are hiring. Okay, so this VC means venture capitalist. So the venture capitalists go into such systems and they look at startups. Who are the leading startups, etc. Do I want to invest there? So it becomes also access to your innovation incubation, the technology business incubator, if you have one operating from the campus. So everything gets very coupled, very linked up. It's a operation at a very distinctly different level, and mentoring is something we'll talk about. Our students do very random internship hunt. They write to 10,000 professors, or massive emails. The professors get very annoyed for academic internship, and the corporates as well. So murky internship through these alumni channels, because they are holding very interesting positions in many organizations. How do you do that? How do you filter it out? That I want to work in this particular domain, in this location, and in this sort of job function as an internship offer or opportunity. So you can do that. So these are interesting things. So curated job hunt, you pick the domain and then you discover alumni in these organizations. So curated job hunt is something like the jobs are available, or listed. So you just choose. For example, here we have sales and business, we have engineering management, we have network administration, IT admin, finance, accounting, whatever. A very large list. It's only partially shown here. And then the whole, it will give you the names, locations, and the individuals, and the connects, the links. When you just click, you go into the LinkedIn page, you understand the person, individual, and you take it up from there. So refining, very easy refining. Again, you have those. We have shown this before. Those attributes by which you can refine in a very granular manner. You know a company. You want to know how many of my alumni are working in that company. So I did a search in Google. This is for this film. So 220. This something like that. So somebody is interested in connecting with somebody or a few group of people in Google, and then you choose the location. Google has so many locations, etc. So all these things are easily doable, and you don't have to hunt, you don't have to do anything else. Mentorship is a massive area. Mentorship for faculty as well, mentorship for students. So you do a whole lot of filtering, and you narrow it down to what you want, instead of spending too much time in hunting for the right thing. Alumni mentees too. I mention it because alumni will go into these they want mentorship from a senior alumnus somewhere, etc. So they do use it. So this is I think I did a search on New York City. So you get a Google Map like thing, and you have these locations and whatever, and you find the number, the circle size will find. I did a just curiosity sake, I did a search on Newtown, and I found that the number is pretty interesting, 348. But then let's get an entire list immediately. It's not just a number. I'm not interested in the number. I get an entire list. I happen to travel. It could be one of the leadership of the university. You happen to be in a city anywhere in the world, and you want to meet your alumni. So you immediately find them. In one shot, you send a email or a message that I'm available from such and such time to in this location. Come and see me. These things become very easy. Couple of minutes you can do that. Innovation incubation is very important today in all the universities across the globe, and in India has also done quite well in this. So the alumni plays a stellar role in this. I don't know, honestly, I have no knowledge. It is possible that Jadavpur alumni could have done well in this, but other institutes are really leveraging, roping in alumni for this. So we need to go into those universities and understand that ask this question, pose this question that to yourself, to the university leadership, that what are the distinctive characteristics of their education and ecosystem which is provided by these universities, these institutes, to nurture a robust entrepreneurial spirit on campus. Well, on a residential campus it works better, you have more time with them. So if the answer is alumni relations, one of them, this is very important, then you got to do that. So we need to figure out from such questioning, such analysis, what are the emerging unlocks for Jadavpur University, and let's find that list and unlock. How can you rope in our own alumni to establish a robust innovation ecosystem at this university? With the kind of talent you have, not just in science and technology, as we keep saying, in liberal arts, in humanities, amazing talent. Have we done enough? So, just an example, something I am very proud of, I did this. Students and faculty could take up to a year off. This created a good bit of noise in the entire country, social media, that so you can take a year off and then come back and finish as a student, and faculty can do that. This was ranked ahead of all the IITs. This is unusual. This is not expected. Very counterintuitive. With respect to student founders, percentage of the number of student founders. If you look at some of the numbers, we achieved this within 5-6 years. 14 unicorns, $52 billion valuation of them. That's not a joke. That's a substantial number. 35 unicorns. They will become unicorn very anytime. So if you look at this data, this real data, 2023. Internationally curated. So BITS is ahead of all the IITs in terms of number of founders with academic origin at a particular institute. Something very proud of. It's a private institute, has no support from the government, has no support from any particular sponsor family like Mr. K.M. Birla's family or Aditya Birla Group. I'm saying it very explicitly, but I think it's doable. The challenges can be overcome. So you need to recognize, you need to tell the world that here is my alumnus doing something amazing. They like it. If the university says so, they like it. You need to confer, institute awards, confer them. Let me talk about it. You should also do alumni merchandising. I'm not going to talk about that. That's a revenue earning for the institute, because a lot of emotion with the brand name, with the logo, with the name of the university. Overseas, this is a huge business. I think there is no reason for us to not do it. So what is our social media strategy? What is the strategy of this? Because this strategy will drive the engagement, because this is where everybody converges today, right? So you need to create universities' own social media handles, which I think exist right now. You've got to share compelling stories. Who will do that? Who will write those compelling stories? You have a fabulous language department in this institute, better than anybody else in this country, I believe. If you can't do that, who else can do it? So amazing content creation with this sort of, language and linguistics skill sets in this country. Of course, you don't have to be in a language or linguistics department to be a wonderful writer. There are wonderful people sitting in this who are not from the department, or I know they are wonderful writers. Everybody pitches in, but you got to have a very professional approach. One story every day, almost, you have to do that. Celebrate as I said, the alumni achievements in startups, in corporate, in academia, in every field they are in every walk of life, in theater, in filmmaking, in literature, everywhere. You build a digital community on the social media, and as we all know, our younger generation, they do this, and large number of followers, likes and shares and all that. So example shots we did. So Revati Advaiti happens to be a mechanical engineer, a female one, that too, 8690 batch. She's a CEO of Flex. Flex is a very large company in 31 countries, some I think 300,000, 400,000 employees. She's the CEO, an Indian girl, such a large company, and she was named one of the Fortune's most powerful women in the world for the 3rd year in a row, and so on. So if the university doesn't celebrate this achievement, who will? Do we do that? I'm afraid no, we don't. I mean, that's a clear answer, we don't. It's not a decision you have taken, no, we don't want to do that. Obviously, most of you would like to do it. We don't have the wherewithal, we don't have the mechanism, we don't have the resources to do it, but we need to get into this. We did, these are things which, last couple of years. So the one on the right, Sriharsha and Nandan Reddy, that's Swiggy. Swiggy is you probably know Swiggy's name. It's not a research company, but it's a decacorn. It's a decacorn, means its valuation is more than $10 billion US dollars. That's only 2 decacorns in this country, I think, still. So we need to celebrate these achievements. For example, campaigns. So university has to design campaigns for fundraising. Here is a campaign that we did very successfully. Just a screenshot of that. Again, please don't post these. So it says Mera Bits, Mera Bhavan. So the hostels are called Bhavans over there. So every room you can sponsor. Your name will be fixed, and you can, there are many levels. So I have, through most of the Israeli universities, I have extensively met them and spent time. The little benches in the parks, you know of them for their research. Israel is extremely advanced, right? So the benches in the parks in the university campus, they're all named. And the university gets that money and deploys it for amazingly good things. And that's how they rise. Major overseas event. So I think Amitabh mentioned South California and so on. Bay Area is a wonderful place. So here is an event that happens once in 2 years, every 2 years. I've been there, and it happens. This is coming up in April this year, and this is going to be in Palo Alto. So BitSync is an event, and the major leaders, political leaders of USA, and they all converge there. What happens? Visibility of the institute, the name spreads. It's a network. It's a communication. The university leadership will be there. They will be presenting the university's strategic plan, road ahead. This is what we have done so far. This is what we want to do. I need your support to do these things. You give your ask over there, and then it spreads, because the entire world's alumni will be there. So this is how things are done. Do we have? So this is done by Silicon Valley chapter of BITS Alumnus and BITSA. So this is done by the Alumni Association. This is not done by the university. It's a very distinct difference. But the university participates. Do you have such chapters of DU? Answer is yes. Do they do such sort of things? I'm afraid not. I haven't seen it. So you have to recognize eminence. You've got to confer awards. A lot of institutes do. Do you have a central system in this university? I'm not aware of. Maybe it is there. Distinguished Services, these are names which are conventionally used. Distinguished Alumnus Award, Young Alumni Achiever Award, and so on. Then you announce it across the globe. Conferred typically at the convocation, or if it's a slightly smaller award, you also do it on a foundation. That's how. So, but you've got to have a very transparent, very external selection criteria and team. You can't just have an internal team and decide. nobody will like that. Nobody will trust that. Got to have very open process in this, and external chair could be an industry chair, and sort of details you can do. So you announce these sort of things. I'm just showing you social media slides, if you will, that we use. So Forbes 30 under 30 is a very acclaimed recognition that Forbes Asia. So in this particular year, 3 plus 3, 4, 3, 7, 10. 10 Bixians got it in that particular year, whatever that year is. You can see that. This is probably 2021 or 2022. So this is very commendable that one institute is roping in so many. This is people who are doing. This is Asia 2022. Yeah, I can see that. Govinda Rangarajan became the director of IISc Bangalore. So we announced it very nicely. This gentleman, Professor S.P. Kotari of MIT, he got a Padma Shri. He teaches at MIT. Okay, so I'm very proud of these two. I personally arranged a mega donation from each one of them. If I go into the details someday, I'll share how it happens. So the one on the right is Rakesh Kapoor. These are modest amounts compared to Nandan Nilekan. I can't. It started with nearly zero, but Nandan Nilekani is of course very different level. So Rakesh Kapoor donated 11 crores and Rakesh Verma donated 15 crores. Rakesh Verma was just few months, last year, a few months before I left. Finally we closed it. But they are for particular projects. The projects had to be designed. I go with a report, a DPR, and a lot of work goes behind it. And then you have to have your own whatever personal charm, etc., etc. So how do you know that you are doing well? How do you measure the momentum? What are the engagement analytics? And then you've got to have a transparency reporting structure. So what are the metrics of to track the pulse? Well, the inputs are pretty simple. The number of living alumni, number registered, etc. And then how many do you have institutional in the AirSale, how many staff, what is the salary budget, what is the investment going in, the tool, the ecosystem, what is the total program budget of the AirSale, and so on. But then performance yardsticks is a whole lot. Now here our computer science friends can help us by telling us, by deploying natural language processing tools, by what is known as a pretty interesting thing that happens today. It's called affective computing. So these things, they are not quantified, many of these things. So but these approaches can scheme of parameters which will indicate the performance as a yardstick. So number, percent emails open, you can do all this when you have a system. How many emails that you send are actually open? It does happen today. What is the number they are regularly returning to the alumni portal? What are the retention rates? How many of them keep coming? What are the social media analytics, follower growth, audience size, all those things. These are little deep, but then you will have a team who will do it. You don't have to worry about it. You will get the output, the report. What's the percent of your total alumni size engaged in donation, engaged in academic collaboration, research collaboration, in innovation initiatives, and so on. How many engagement events you do per year, how many of them are in person, how many of them are virtual, and then you can do selective engagement. This is very important, and it has been seen that by the graduation cohort. So focus on the optimal cohort. It has been seen that because if they are very young alumni, the recent graduates, they are not potential donors. They are not wealthy. So 10 to 12 years from graduation, of course this varies from institute to institute. 10 to 12 years from graduation, you approach them for non-monetary connects and engagements. 25 plus monetary. Again, these are little secrets, people who have practiced it. So what's the return on investment at the very bottom? Hardly read it, and so on. So those can be done. This is one thing that many alumni relations cells forget to do, and that makes the alumni very, very annoyed, very unhappy, and they withdraw from the process. We fail to report. We take the money and then we forget. So there has to be complete transparency. Again, very professionally done. You've got to have separate, big details, separate bank accounts with detail of every transaction. Huge transparency needed here. And the periodic report to the donor, the advisory body that you have, and also review meetings for this, performance review meetings. You've got to have for mega donors, you've got to have a dedicated engagement manager. In addition to the Vice Chancellor, you've got to have somebody who will stay engaged with that individual or individuals. All donations, legacy reports, updates, they all have to be posted on the AR website. Nothing can be hidden. That's how you open it up. Let the world see it. It's good for you. Coverage in the social media with the donor name, very public. Unless somebody tells you, there are donations which you saw one for IIT Bombay, anonymous, large donation, that person doesn't want the name to be published. You've got to respect that. So you can create a donor wall on the campus in a vantage point and location, a donor wall where all the names will be displayed. That motivates every time somebody, some potential donor walks by, it motivates. This is something most of the institutes do. So the last bit, what do you do now? What do you do next? What do you do later? So I've created a slide where I see that, and I'm questioning that, are we at a point where the IITs were 15-20 years ago when it comes to AR relations, AR sales? So let me see, what are the key challenges that we need to overcome? I have listed 5. So the first one, utilization in alumni funded projects can't be slow. Usually that's a huge no-no. If you are going to cite your problems to them, it doesn't help. You got to do it. You got to do it well. It can't be unimpactful. You can't choose a project which has very little impact on the university. Because if you do that, if you don't do well, this makes referencing, which is the word of mouth, makes it very difficult. People won't listen to you. And also advocacy, which is championing donation to JU, very difficult. So you go and meet a group of donors, they will reject you if your past performance is like that. So you got to do very well. There's no, it's a zero tolerance situation. Inability to raise CSR money, that's also something. IITs usually raise more from CSR than alumni, as I said before. So we need to sharpen that as well. The international or American donations, they are usually bigger, currency strength. They are largely untapped. Again, ecosystem or a tool that I described will give you access to that in a very granular way, and they are actually probably giving more money to their, suppose they are undergraduate degree holders from here, they are probably donating to their master's institutes or PhD institutes, not JU. It's possible. We're talking about different level of donation. We're not talking about sprinkling smaller amounts. Ambiguity about finances. So the alumni need to accept, need to understand that the university needs money. This has to be clarified, articulated beautifully. That's important. Why does the university need fund? You are a state university, go and ask the state. So we face this. Go and ask Mr. Birla. He is wealthy like hell. Why are you asking us for money? So you've got to have your own answers well articulated, and then everybody has a challenge here. Alumni association, with due respect, it's a modest fundraising. What you do or what you have done with absolutely no resources, all volunteering for this is fantastic, but you got to go to the next level, and that has to be done by the university. And alumni association and this AR cell, they have to dovetail, they have to work together very nicely. I'm sure that coordination and that sweet feeling will be always there. Challenges, last 2 challenges: independence of the AR team within the university. Huge ask in this university, I know, it has to be done. And initially, university has to support the AR cell. Maybe the alumni can be approached to raise that as well. So these are the initiatives that you could do. Naming rights on university assets, team creation and presence in the US. These are the specific tasks the cell can take up one after another. Target high net worth individuals. Again, use the tool to filter out. Indian and international chapter events and outreach. Do we have, all big cities will have Jadavpur alumni, right, in India. Do we have chapters in all the big cities? I doubt it. I know Bombay does very well, but what does Bombay do? Typically, I'm very familiar. What does Delhi do? They do their own song and dance. That's not difficult to do, you know. You can do that without being an alumni. Institutional and custom projects for donations. Focus on operations and utilization. You know, I say it with a lot of sadness. Let me say it. I'm a life member of this Alumni Association. I'm very proud of it. I became a life member during the time I was an employee of this university. I'm not leveraged. Do you think I can do a few things? Maybe you don't. Then it's fine. But if you think that I can do a few things for this university, how come I left this university in end of October 2013 as an employee? How come this 11 years nearly? How come I haven't been active? That shows the intent, that shows the strategy that you have. I'm saying disrupt. Don't be happy with what's happening. Become very, very unhappy. Then something might happen. That I say with absolute respect to what you are doing today. Please don't misinterpret in a very different way. That again goes into a tangent. What you are doing with extreme difficulty is commendable, very, very commendable. But let the university do certain things. So you have to focus on the last thing I mentioned on, focus on the operations and utilization. So what do we need to do? One more time, 1, 2, 3. You've got to do a strategic alignment with the university vision. Now, do we have a university vision? If it is there, wonderful. Then you take that and design a pathway for the alumni relations cell. You need to seek funds for something transformational. Do not seek funds for something trivial. That's a huge no-no, particularly in the beginning. The ask would be at the core of the university vision and strategic planning. I keep saying that. So you need to think of one big, crazy goal. People say it's crazy. Are you serious? How can you do that? But that's what people do. They know that. I mean, Shomita is here. I'm a little worried to say this. It's like Carnot efficiency. It is like Carnot efficiency. So you have that target. You know you won't get there, but can you get close to it? That's the whole idea, right? So, well, there are too many thermal people in this room. Not just Shomita, they are quite senior. Many of them, I see the majority of the mechanical folks here are actually thermal, including myself. So the transformation that is to be brought by this crazy, audacious, this big say goal for fundraising, and your efforts should go all out to achieve that, and then it has to really converge. This is what, you know, I have shared some numbers. Look at those numbers. You think that, are you nuts? Can you achieve those sort of numbers? IIT Delhi has announced $1 billion US. Now you'll be surprised by the kind of numbers they have achieved by now. I don't have an updated number, let me not say that. IIT Madras, 1,000 crores, but each year they are doing 150 crores. So it's not far away, right? We started 100 million. So, it's doing about 40 million per year by the time I'm there. I'm sorry, not 40 million, 40 crore per year rupees. So what would be the number for Jadavpur? The goal must resonate with a large cross-section of the alumni, because this will be the word of mouth. Jadavpur has set a goal. Let people say that you are crazy, but people will talk about it, and that's important. That means something is churning up in the institute, in the ARCF. That's very important. Building a deep trust by clear, consistent outreach. This is very important, because if you falter here, all your future efforts will be in deep trouble. You've got to do it right, and you've got to have the right team. Have the alumni really been able to trust the university's needs for funds? They got to believe that you need that money for something useful, something important, something impactful, big, something big for the university, well beyond what you have done so far. All that. Hold on. Okay, let me skip this, too much details on 5 action areas. I do have more details. So this is a photograph that Jadavpur University would like to see. The Vice Chancellor sitting next to somebody, and this is Nandan Nilekani with Shubhashish Chaudhary, a dear friend of mine, IIT Bombay director, Kharagpur alumnus. And this is a picture that you want to see. Yeah. The next slide is probably close. So alumni relations, Jadavpur University, ARJU. I got an acronym. It's mine. Don't worry about it. And if you put a network, it becomes ARJUN. It's a nice, interesting word. You have it. Thank you so much.